Next, let's take a look at the indoctrination system of the communists, the Prussian educational system, and outcome-based education, which was eventually adopted by just about every nation of Europe and eventually the United States. The Prussian educational system was established in Prussia as a result of educational reforms in the late 18th and early 19th century and has had widespread influence since. The Prussian education system was introduced in the late 18th century and was significantly enhanced after Prussia's defeat in the Napoleonic Wars. The Prussian educational reforms inspired similar changes in other countries, and variations of it remain in widespread use today under various names. Characteristics of the Prussian education system included compulsory attendance, national testing for all students, a prescribed national curriculum for each grade, and mandatory kindergarten, all hallmarks of the modern U.S. educational system. It soon widely inspired educational models in other German states and a number of other countries, including Japan and, of course, the United States. State-oriented mass education systems were instituted in the 19th century throughout the rest of Europe. The Prussian reforms in education spread quickly throughout Europe, particularly after the French Revolution. This form of public education was subsequently widely institutionalized throughout the world and developed in parallel with nation building. The basic foundations of the Prussian education system were laid out by Frederick II, King of Prussia, from 1772 to 1778. Frederick II and others who furthered the Prussian system sought to take education out of the hands of family and transfer it to the state. Since independently educated individuals could not always be counted on to submit to government objectives, the Prussian system sought to create obedient soldiers for the Prussian army, obedient workers for Prussian mining, obedient civil servants for the Prussian government, obedient clerks for Prussian industry, and citizens who thought alike about all major political issues. Subsequent nation states that adopted the Prussian model used this so-called education system, which is an indoctrination system, to build a powerful controlling state apparatus. Variations of the Prussian education system were adopted by both Germany and Russia, pre their totalitarian regimes, during and after their totalitarian regimes of Nazism and communism. In the 1840s, Horace Mann, the secretary of the Massachusetts Board of Education, who later became known as the father of American education, traveled to Europe to study the Prussian system. Mann was seeking a way to change what he deemed unruly children into, quote, disciplined citizens, more like obedient citizens. After assessing the Prussian model as an effective methodology to implement state-controlled education, Mann's next step was to sell the Prussian system to the American public in the name of equality. This would be done by convincing each U.S. state to adopt a compulsory government school system to inform a, quote, uniform education, again, part of the Communist Manifesto, for the masses. The primary goal of this system was not intellectual development, but rather to condition the students for obedience, subordination, and collectivism. In other words, social engineering. Understanding these origins of mass public education, it becomes exceedingly clear why, quote, free education for all children in public schools was a key plank of the Communist Manifesto. The Prussian education system was the original model for what has come to be called outcome-based education, an educational model that bases education around desired outcomes for the student. By the end of the outcome-based educational experience, each student is to achieve a pre-planned goal set for them by the system. There is no single specified style of teaching or assessment in outcome-based education. Instead, all aspects of the system are specifically designed to achieve specified student outcomes. Thus, the role of the faculty in this system adapts to instructor, trainer, facilitator, or mentor based on the outcome that is desired. This model should more properly be called a system of indoctrination, since its main objective is to instill into students what it wishes for them to learn, rather than teaching students proven methods for truth discovery, such as the trivium method, which was removed from public schooling. It could be correctly described as what to learn instead of how to learn. Outcome-based educational methods have been adopted in education systems around the entire modern world, including the United States, which has had an outcome-based education program in place since 1994, at least. Let's look at Chinese communism.